The first thing I noticed was the U-Haul truck parked in my driveway. The second thing was Derek climbing out of it with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, followed by two elderly people I'd only met twice before at my daughter's wedding. My son-in-law's parents, Walter and Diane Hartley, stood there looking at my cabin like they already owned it. "Rick!" Derek called out, waving as if this was all perfectly normal. "We're here. Mom, Dad, this is the place I was telling you about. Plenty of room, fresh air, everything you need." I set down the firewood I'd been carrying and walked toward them slowly. "Derek, what's going on?" "Well, we had a little setback," he said, still smiling that fake smile. "Dad had some bad luck with investments, and they lost their house. But you've got all this space out here, and Claire and I talked about it. They're moving in with you, just temporarily, until they get back on their feet." I looked at the U-Haul, then at Walter and Diane, who wouldn't meet my eyes. Then I looked back at Derek. "You talked to Claire about moving your parents into my house without asking me first. It's family, Rick. Family helps family. You understand that, right?" Before we continue, please drop a comment if you've ever experienced something like this. We'd love to hear your story, and subscribe to the channel to help us grow. Let me back up and explain how I got here. 6 months earlier, I'd retired from 40 years of construction work. I'd saved every penny I could, invested wisely, and finally bought myself a small cabin on 20 acres of woodland in northern Pennsylvania. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. After decades of noise, deadlines, and dealing with people, I wanted peace. I wanted to wake up to bird song instead of traffic. I wanted to chop my own firewood and watch deer cross my property. My daughter Claire was the only family I had left. Her mother, my wife Ellen, had passed away from cancer 10 years ago. Claire was 32 now, married to Derek for 5 years, and they had 2 kids, my grandchildren, Tommy and Sophia. I loved those kids more than anything. Derek worked in sales, or at least that's what he told everyone. He drove a nice car, wore expensive suits, and always talked about his big deals. I never quite understood what he sold, and whenever I asked, he'd give vague answers about business consulting and investment opportunities. Claire seemed happy enough, though, so I kept my concerns to myself. The first time I met Derek's parents was at the wedding. Walter was a loud man who talked mostly about sports and money. Diane barely spoke at all, just nodded along with whatever her husband said. The second time was at Tommy's birthday party 2 years ago. They'd shown up late, left early, and Walter had spent the whole time on his phone. Now here they were, apparently homeless and expecting to live with me. "Derek," I said carefully, "I appreciate that your parents are in a tough spot, but this is my home. I retired here to have some peace and quiet. I'm not looking for roommates." Derek's smile finally dropped. "Roommates? These are my parents, Rick. They raised me. They need help. Then they can stay with you and Claire. You've got that big house with 4 bedrooms. Our house isn't set up for elderly people," Derek said quickly. "No bedroom on the first floor, steep stairs. Dad's got a bad knee. Your cabin is all one level, perfect for them. My cabin has 2 bedrooms, mine and 1 guest room. Where exactly would they sleep? They can take the guest room, and we'll convert your office space into another bedroom. Come on, Rick, it's just until Dad's new business venture takes off. 6 months, tops." I felt my jaw tighten. "My answer is no, Derek. I'm sorry your parents are having problems, but I'm not the solution." Walter finally spoke up. Now hold on just a minute. Derek said this was already arranged. We sold our furniture, gave up our apartment. We've got nowhere else to go. That's not my problem, I said, and I meant it. Derek should have asked me before making promises he couldn't keep. Derek stepped closer, and his voice dropped low. You're really going to do this? You're really going to turn away family? What's Claire going to think when she hears her father abandoned her husband's parents? Claire will understand that I have a right to my own home. We'll see about that, Derek said. Then he pulled out his phone and called my daughter right there in my driveway. Hey, babe, he said when she answered. Yeah, we're at your dad's place. There's a problem. He's refusing to let my parents stay. He paused, listening. I know. I thought he'd understand about family. Another pause. Here, you talk to him. He handed me the phone. I took it and walked a few steps away. Dad? Claire's voice sounded stressed. What's going on? Your husband showed up at my house with his parents and a moving truck without asking me if they could live here. I said no. He told me you'd agreed to it, Claire said quietly. My blood went cold. He what? Last week, he said he talked to you about his parents needing a place to stay, and you said they could use your guest room temporarily. He said you were happy to help. Claire, I never had that conversation with Derek. This is the first I'm hearing about any of this. There was a long silence. He lied to me? Apparently so. I heard her take a deep breath. Let me call you back. I handed the phone back to Derek. His expression had shifted from angry to calculating. She'll come around, he said. Claire knows how to respect her elders. You need to leave my property, I told him. Take your parents and go. Walter moved toward me. Listen here, old man. We've got rights. Squatters' rights. We can just move in, and you can't do nothing about it. Try it and I'll call the sheriff, I said. This is private property, and you're not welcome here. Derek held up his hands. Okay, we're leaving. But this isn't over, Rick. You're making a big mistake. They got back in the U-Haul and drove away, leaving tire tracks in my gravel driveway. I stood there for a long time, feeling my peaceful retirement crumbling around me. Claire called me back an hour later. She was crying. Dad, I'm so sorry. I didn't know he lied. We had a huge fight. His parents did lose their house, but it wasn't investments. Walter has a gambling problem. He lost everything at the casino, and Derek knew about it. He's been giving them money for months, and he never told me. Are you okay? I asked. I don't know, she said honestly. Derek's saying you're being selfish and cruel. He's saying his parents will end up on the street because of you. He's making me feel like I have to choose between my husband and my father. You don't have to choose anything, sweetheart. This is Derek's problem to solve, not yours, and definitely not mine. But over the next 2 weeks, Derek made it his mission to make my life miserable. He started calling me multiple times a day, leaving voicemails about how I was destroying his family. He showed up at my cabin unannounced 3 times, always with some new angle, trying to convince me to change my mind. Then things got worse. I started getting calls from Adult Protective Services. Someone had reported that I was living alone in the woods, possibly suffering from dementia, unable to care for myself. I had to sit through 2 home visits where social workers asked me questions about what day it was and whether I could dress myself. It was humiliating. The sheriff started getting calls too. Anonymous reports that I was hoarding weapons, that I was a danger to myself and others. Deputy Morrison, no relation, came out to check on me. He apologized, said he knew the calls were bogus, but he had to follow up on every report. I knew it was Derek. Who else would it be? Then one morning, I found my mailbox smashed to pieces. The next day, someone had spray-painted "selfish" across my shed. The day after that, I woke up to find all 4 tires on my truck slashed. I called Claire. "Your husband is harassing me." "I know," she said, and she sounded exhausted. "He's obsessed with this. He says his parents are living in a motel and it's draining our savings. He says you could solve everything, but you're choosing not to. Dad, I don't know what to do anymore." That's when I realized Derek wasn't going to stop. He was going to keep escalating until he got what he wanted, or until he broke me. And looking at my slashed tires, at my vandalized property, I understood something else, too. This wasn't just about his parents needing a place to live. This was about something bigger, something I couldn't quite see yet. But I was going to find out what it was, and when I did, Derek Hartley was going to regret the day he decided to mess with me. I spent the next morning filing a police report about the vandalized property. Deputy Morrison took photos of everything and promised to increase patrols in my area, but we both knew catching whoever did it would be nearly impossible. I didn't mention Derek's name, not yet. I needed proof, not just suspicions. That afternoon, I drove into town and bought security cameras, 4 of them, with night vision and motion detection. I installed them around my cabin, covering every angle of my property. If Derek or anyone else came back, I'd have evidence. Then I did something I'd never done before in my life. I hired a private investigator. Her name was Patricia Vance, and she came highly recommended by my lawyer, Gordon Mills. Patricia was a former police detective, maybe 50 years old, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. I met her at a coffee shop in town and explained the situation. "So your son-in-law is harassing you because you won't let his parents move in," she said, taking notes. "And you think there's more to the story?" "I know there is," I said. "Derek's been giving his parents money for months without telling my daughter. He lied to her about me agreeing to let them stay. Now he's escalating to vandalism and false reports. That's not normal behavior just for getting his parents housed. There's something else going on." Patricia nodded. "What do you want me to find out?" "Everything. His finances, his business, his parents' situation. All of it. That'll take time and money." "I've got both," I told her. While Patricia started her investigation, I focused on protecting myself. Gordon helped me set up a trust for all my assets, with Claire and my grandchildren as beneficiaries. If anything happened to me, Derek couldn't touch a penny of it. I also drafted a new will, making my intentions crystal clear. The harassment continued, but now I was documenting everything. My cameras caught Derek driving by my property at odd hours, 3 times in 1 week, always slowing down to look at the house. On the 4th night, someone threw a rock through my living room window. The camera caught a figure in dark clothing, but the face was hidden. Still, I knew. I called Derek directly. "I know it's you," I said when he answered. "I don't know what you're talking about. The vandalism, the harassment. It ends now, or I'm pressing charges." He laughed. "You have no proof. And even if you did, good luck explaining to Claire why you're sending her husband to jail over some minor property damage. You think she'll forgive you for that? I think she'll forgive me a lot faster than she'll forgive you for what you're doing." "We'll see," Derek said, and hung up. But something in his voice bothered me. He sounded too confident, like he knew something I didn't. 2 days later, Patricia called. "We need to meet." We met at the same coffee shop. She slid a folder across the table to me. "Derek Hartley is in serious financial trouble," she said. "He hasn't made a legitimate business deal in over a year. He's been living off credit cards and loans, and he's maxed out everything." I opened the folder and started reading. The numbers were staggering. Derek owed more than $200,000 across various credit cards, personal loans, and lines of credit. "There's more," Patricia said. "He took out a home equity line of credit on the house he shares with your daughter. $60,000, 6 months ago. Claire's name is on the deed, but I'm guessing she doesn't know about the loan." I felt sick. Where did the money go? Some of it went to his parents, like your daughter said, but most of it went to something else. I'm still tracking that down. It looks like he was trying to invest in some kind of business opportunity that fell through. So he's broke, his parents are broke, and he's been hiding all of this from Claire. Yes. And here's where it gets interesting. Your cabin, on 20 acres of land in a development-friendly area. I had a real estate agent look into it. Your property is worth at least $400,000, maybe more to the right buyer. There's a development company that's been buying up land in that area for a new resort project. I stared at her. "You think Derek wants my property?" "I think Derek needs your property. If he could get you declared incompetent, if he could somehow gain control of it through Claire, he could sell it and solve all his financial problems. Your daughter would inherit it eventually anyway, right? He's probably thinking that's his way out." Everything clicked into place. The false reports to Adult Protective Services about my competence. The escalating harassment designed to make me look unstable or unsafe. Derek wasn't just being vindictive. He was trying to build a case that I couldn't live alone, that I needed to be in a care facility, that Claire needed to take control of my affairs. "What about his parents?" I asked. "Are they really in a motel?" Patricia shook her head. "Walter and Diane Hartley are living in a rental house 2 towns over. Derek's paying for it, but they're fine. The whole story about them needing to live with you was a setup. If they were living in your cabin, Derek would have easier access to your property, your documents, your routines. He could monitor you, look for signs of decline, maybe even help that decline along." I sat back in my chair, feeling cold despite the warm coffee in my hands. My own son-in-law had been planning to essentially steal my property by having me declared incompetent, and he was using my own daughter to do it. "There's one more thing," Patricia said quietly. "I found evidence that Derek has been meeting regularly with a woman named Natalie Cruz. They meet at hotels, restaurants, always when your daughter is at work. I don't have proof of an affair yet, but the pattern is concerning." I closed the folder. "Keep digging. I want to know everything." That night, I sat in my cabin looking at all the documentation I'd gathered. Security camera footage, police reports, Patricia's investigative file, legal documents from Gordon. I had the beginnings of a case, but I needed more. I needed something that would protect Claire and my grandchildren from Derek's schemes. I decided to call Claire the next morning, but she called me first. She was crying so hard I could barely understand her. "Dad, I found something. In Derek's office. There's papers, legal papers. He's been forging your signature." My blood went ice cold. "What kind of papers?" "Power of attorney documents. Medical power of attorney. He was going to try to get control of your finances and medical decisions. He has a whole folder with your information, medical records he somehow got. Everything. Dad." I think he was planning to have you committed. Where is Derek now? I don't know. I confronted him and he left. He took his phone and his laptop. He said I was overreacting, that he was just being prepared in case something happened to you. But Dad, these documents, they look real. How did he get your signature? He forged it, sweetheart. It's not real. Should I call the police? Not yet. I need you to take photos of everything in that folder. Every page. Then put it back exactly where you found it. Can you do that? Yes, she said, her voice shaking. Dad, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I know you didn't. This isn't your fault. But Claire, I need to ask you something important. How much did you know about Derek's finances? There was a long pause. Nothing. He handles all the bills. He says it's easier that way. Why? Because your husband is in debt up to his eyeballs, and he took out a loan against your house without telling you. I heard her sharp intake of breath. How much? $60,000. She started crying again. I trusted him. I trusted him with everything. We talked for another hour. I told her about Patricia's investigation, about Derek's real plan, about everything I'd discovered. By the end of the call, Claire was no longer crying. She was angry. And in that anger, I heard echoes of her mother, my Ellen, who had been the strongest woman I'd ever known. What do we do? Claire asked. You let me handle this, I said. But there's something I need you to do. I need you to act normal around Derek. Don't let him know you're suspicious. Don't mention the folder or anything we talked about. Can you do that? I can try. Good. Because I'm going to fix this, Claire. All of it. 2 days later, I got a call from an unknown number. When I answered, I heard Walter Hartley's voice. Rick, this is Walter. We need to talk, just you and me. There's things about Derek you don't know. Things you need to know. I'm listening. Not over the phone. Meet me tomorrow at the diner on Route 15. Noon. Come alone. He hung up before I could respond. I sat there staring at my phone, wondering what game was being played now. Was this another setup? Or was Walter actually trying to tell me something? I called Patricia and told her about the call. Could be a trap, she said, but it could also be useful. I'll be there too, at a different table. If anything goes wrong, I'll intervene. The next day, I drove to the diner. Walter was already there, sitting in a back booth, looking older and more tired than I remembered. I slid into the seat across from him. Thanks for coming, he said. I wasn't sure you would. What do you want, Walter? He looked down at his coffee cup. I want to tell you the truth. Derek's been lying to everyone, including us. We didn't lose our house to my gambling. I mean, I do gamble, but that's not what happened. Derek borrowed money from some very bad people. People you don't say no to. When he couldn't pay it back, they came after us instead. Threatened Diane. Threatened our home. We had to sell everything and disappear for a while. Derek said if we went along with his plan to get your property, he could pay off the debt and we'd all be safe. I felt my hands clench into fists under the table. So you were all in on this together? At first, yes. But Rick, it's gotten out of control. Derek's not thinking straight anymore. He's talking about doing things, permanent things to make sure you can't fight back. I'm scared of what he might do. What kind of permanent things? Walter looked at me, and I saw real fear in his eyes. He's been researching medications, dosages, things that could make an old man seem confused or sick. He's talking about slipping something into your food or drink next time he gets the chance. Said if you ended up in the hospital looking like you had dementia or a stroke, it would be easier to get you declared incompetent. The diner suddenly felt very small and very cold. My own son-in-law was planning to poison me. I sat across from Walter, processing what he'd just told me. My son-in-law was planning to poison me, to drug me into appearing incompetent so he could steal my property and pay off dangerous people. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked quietly. Walter's hands shook as he picked up his coffee cup. "Because I'm 73 years old, Rick. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, but I'm not going to be part of murdering someone. Diane doesn't know about this part. Derek told me separately, wanted me to help him get close to you. I said no, and now I'm telling you. You realize this makes you an accessory to conspiracy." "I know. But maybe if I help you stop him, that counts for something." He slid a small recording device across the table. I recorded our last conversation. Derek laying out his whole plan. It's all on there. I picked up the recorder and put it in my pocket. "Thank you, Walter. There's more you should know," he said. "The people Derek owes money to, they're not just loan sharks. They're connected to something bigger. I don't know all the details, but Derek's been doing work for them, moving money around, setting up fake companies. He's in way deeper than just debt." After Walter left, I sat with Patricia and played her the recording. Derek's voice came through clearly, describing exactly how he planned to slip medication into my food, what symptoms it would cause, how long until I'd seem confused enough to warrant hospitalization. "This is attempted murder," Patricia said. "You need to go to the police right now." "Not yet," I said. "I want to finish this my way first." Over the next week, I put my plan into motion. Gordon helped me set up a shell company. Then I had that company approach Derek's mortgage lender. They were thrilled to sell off a defaulted debt. For 35 cents on the dollar, I bought the entire $60,000 home equity line of credit that Derek had taken out on the house he shared with Claire. I now owned my son-in-law's debt, which meant I owned him. Patricia's investigation had continued. She'd discovered that Walter and Diane had been collecting disability benefits for years, claiming Walter couldn't work due to his bad knee. But she had photos of Walter playing golf, working part-time under the table at a friend's business, and doing landscaping work. They'd been committing federal benefits fraud for over a decade. I had everything I needed. The forged power of attorney documents that Claire had photographed. The recording of Derek's poisoning plan. Evidence of the benefits fraud. Financial records showing Derek's debts and the hidden home equity loan. Security footage of the vandalism. All of it carefully documented and organized. I called a family meeting at my cabin. Claire came, bringing Tommy and Sophia. I'd asked her to tell Derek it was about me finally agreeing to help his parents. He showed up looking smug and confident. "Glad you came to your senses, Rick," Derek said as he walked in. "Sit down," I told him. "We need to talk." Claire sat on the couch with the kids. Derek took the armchair, still smiling. I remained standing. "I'm going to make this very simple," I said. "I know everything, Derek. The forged documents, the home equity loan you took out without telling Claire, the $200,000 in debt you're hiding, the plan to have me declared incompetent, and most importantly, the plan to poison me." Derek's smile vanished. "I don't know what you're talking about. Your father recorded your conversation. I have it right here." I pulled out the recording device and pressed play. Derek's own voice filled the room, describing in detail how he planned to drug me. Claire gasped. The kids looked confused. Derek's face went white. That's fabricated, he said weakly. My father is lying. I also own your debt now, I continued. All $60,000 of it. I can call it due immediately, which means you have 30 days to pay in full, or I foreclose on the house. Your house, Derek. The one you share with my daughter and grandchildren. Derek stood up. You can't do this. I absolutely can. And I'm also turning over evidence of your parents' benefits fraud to the federal authorities. They'll be investigated, charged, and likely sent to prison. All those years of lying about Walter's disability are about to catch up with them. Dad, Claire said quietly. She was crying. Is this true? All of it? I handed her a folder containing copies of everything. Read it yourself, sweetheart. She opened the folder and started reading. Her face went from shock to anger to something I'd never seen before. Cold fury. Derek lunged toward me, but I was ready. I stepped aside and he stumbled. You destroyed my life, he shouted. No, I said calmly. You destroyed your own life. I'm just making sure you don't destroy anyone else's. Claire. Derek turned to her desperately. Baby, please. He's manipulating you. We can work this out. I did this for us, for our future. Claire stood up, still holding the folder. You forged my father's signature. You took out a loan on our house without telling me. You planned to poison him. And you lied to me about all of it. There is no us anymore, Derek. You're choosing him over me. I'm choosing reality over your lies. She looked at me. Dad, what do I need to do? You need to file for divorce immediately. Gordon will help you. The house is in both your names, so we'll work out a way to protect your share. But Derek needs to be out of your life completely. Derek looked around the room like a trapped animal. Fine. Fine. You want a divorce, Claire? You've got it. But you're making a mistake. All of you. He pointed at me. This isn't over, old man. You think you've won. But you have no idea what you've started. He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Claire collapsed on the couch, sobbing. I sat beside her and put my arm around her, while Tommy and Sophia huddled close, scared and confused by what they'd witnessed. The next 2 months were brutal. Claire filed for divorce. I turned over the evidence of benefits fraud to the appropriate authorities. Walter and Diane were arrested and charged with multiple counts of fraud. Derek fought everything, hired lawyers, made threats. But the evidence was overwhelming. Then Patricia called me with news I wasn't expecting. Rick, you need to sit down for this, she said. Remember that woman Natalie Cruz I told you about? The one Derek was meeting with. The affair, I said. Not an affair. She's an FBI agent. Derek wasn't cheating on Claire. He was being investigated for money laundering and fraud. Those bad people Walter mentioned that Derek owed money to. They're part of a criminal organization that's been using Derek to move money through fake businesses. The FBI has been building a case against them for 2 years, and Derek was about to be arrested regardless of what you did. I felt like the ground had shifted under my feet. So all of this, everything I did, you didn't know, Patricia said. And honestly, your actions probably helped their case. The financial documents you gathered, the recordings, all of it corroborates what they already had. But Rick, there's more. Because Derek was committing crimes, any assets he acquired during that time are subject to criminal forfeiture. That includes the house. The house Claire lives in. Yes, the FBI is going to seize it. Your daughter and grandchildren are going to lose their home." 3 days later, federal agents arrested Derek at his office. The charges included money laundering, wire fraud, conspiracy, and a dozen other counts. The news ran stories about the suburban businessman who'd been running a criminal operation. Claire called me from a hotel, hysterical. "They took everything, Dad. They came to the house with papers. They're seizing it because Derek used it for his crimes. The cars, the bank accounts, everything. Tommy and Sophia don't understand what's happening. I don't have anywhere to go." "Come here," I said. "Come to the cabin. All 3 of you." "But you wanted peace and quiet. You retired to be alone." "I wanted peace from strangers, not from my family." "Come home, Claire." So they came. Claire and Tommy and Sophia moved into my cabin in the woods. We converted my office into a bedroom for the kids. Claire took the guest room. It was crowded and chaotic, and nothing like the quiet retirement I'd planned. But every morning when I woke up to my grandchildren's laughter, when I watched Claire slowly healing from Derek's betrayal, when we sat together for dinner in my small kitchen, I realized something. Derek had tried to take my property, my peace, my life. Instead, he'd lost everything, and I'd gained what mattered most. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd fought so hard to keep my space, my solitude, my hard-earned retirement. And in the end, I got my family anyway. Not through manipulation or force, but because they needed me and I needed them. Walter pleaded guilty to fraud charges and got 3 years in federal prison. Diane got 2 years probation. Derek went to trial, was convicted on most counts, and received a 15-year sentence. The divorce went through quickly after that. Sometimes at night, sitting on my porch watching the woods, I think about how differently things could have gone. If Walter hadn't warned me, if Derek had succeeded in poisoning me, if the FBI hadn't been watching him all along, I'd won. But victory felt different than I'd imagined. My peaceful retirement was gone, replaced by the beautiful chaos of raising grandchildren in their formative years. Claire was rebuilding her life, going back to school, learning to trust again. We were healing together in this cabin that was supposed to be just for me. Derek had wanted to take everything from me to save himself. Instead, he'd lost everything and given me what I didn't know I needed. My daughter back in my daily life. My grandchildren growing up where I could watch them. A purpose beyond just existing peacefully in the woods. That's the surprise I'd prepared, though I hadn't known it at the time. Not revenge, not justice, not even victory. Just family. Messy, complicated, healing family. And somehow, that was enough. Thanks for listening to this story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more stories like this. Where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments.